The frozen cell. The room was silent. Cold white lights hummed above. The walls were silver and smooth, like they had never seen sunlight. Deep inside the government facility, far below the Earth's surface, there was a special chamber. A secret one. Room 39. In the center of that room, a glass pod stood. Inside the pod floated something. Someone. A girl. But she wasn't human. Her skin was pale blue. Her hair flowed like soft white smoke. Eyes closed, she looked peaceful. Almost like she was sleeping. But no one had touched her for years. No one spoke to her. No one cared. Her name was Elira. The scientists called her Subject 7. She had been found 10 years ago during a short alien invasion. While other alien soldiers attacked cities, Elira had been discovered in an empty village, holding 2 human children in her arms. She wasn't fighting. She was protecting them. But still, they locked her up. Over the years, people forgot she was alive. The cryopod kept her frozen, her body still and mind asleep. She was a secret buried under layers of security and fear, until Jake arrived. Jake was new, a young intern, fresh out of college, excited to work at the big science facility. He was told to clean, file reports, and do what he was told. Nothing more. But Jake was curious. One night, he stayed late. While walking down the hallway, he noticed a red light blinking on an old door, room 39. The door was half open, which was strange. That room was always locked. Jake stepped inside. His eyes widened. The cold hit him first, like walking into a freezer. Then he saw the glass pod. "What is this?" he whispered. He walked closer. Inside he saw her Elira, floating, still. Her long white hair moved like waves in water. Jake's heart raced. She looked human, kind. Why was she locked up like this? He checked the control panel. It was old and damaged. One screen still worked. It showed her heart rate, body temperature, and something else. Brain activity. Jake blinked. "She's not asleep," he muttered. "She's dreaming." He leaned in, pressing his hand on the cold glass. For a second, nothing happened. Then a flicker. Elira's eyelids moved. Just a little. Jake stepped back, shocked. No way. He ran to the console. The numbers started to change. Her temperature was rising. Her heart rate was picking up. She was waking up. Then he heard it. A whisper. Very soft, like wind through trees, but clear. "Help me." Jake froze. He looked around. The room was empty. No speakers. No one else was there. The voice had come from inside his mind. His hand shook as he touched the glass again. And for the first time, Elira opened her eyes. They were glowing. Soft silver, like moonlight. Her gaze met his. Not angry. Not scared. Just tired. Lonely. Jake couldn't move. She raised her hand inside the pod and placed it where his hand was. They were separated by thick glass, but somehow he felt warmth. He whispered, "Can you understand me?" She didn't answer, but her eyes blinked slowly. A small nod. Jake looked around nervously. He wasn't allowed to be here. If someone found out, he'd be fired. Maybe worse. But he didn't move. Something inside him said this was important. He pulled out his ID card and scanned the console. A message popped up. Access denied. Subject 7. Top secret clearance only. Jake frowned. Why would they hide this? He tapped more buttons. Most files were locked, but one video played. It showed Elira 10 years ago kneeling in the dirt. Human children were crying. Soldiers surrounded her, yelling. She didn't fight back. She only whispered something and hugged the children tighter. Then they shot her. The video ended. Jake stepped back, feeling sick. They lied to us. Behind him, Elira touched the glass again. This time, she closed her eyes, and for a second, Jake saw something. Fire. A battlefield. Soldiers running. Screams. And then, silence. A little girl holding Elira's hand. Smiling. Then it all vanished. Jake gasped. Did you show me that? Elira looked at him. Her mouth moved. Slowly. No sound came, but he could read her lips. Remember me. Alarms suddenly beeped. Jake jumped. He had been in the room too long. Motion detectors were picking him up. He looked back at Alira. "I'll come back," he whispered. "I promise." He ran out of room 39, heart pounding. But behind the glass, Alira slowly smiled. For the first time in 10 years, someone had touched her. Not with hands, but with hope. And hope was warm. The next morning, Jake couldn't focus. He poured hot coffee, but forgot to drink it. He stared at computer screens, but saw only one image in his mind, her eyes. Those glowing silver eyes. Calm, cold, lonely. And the voice, "Help me." It had echoed in his mind all night, like a dream that wouldn't fade. He tried to push the thoughts away. He was just an intern. What could he do? Breaking into room 39 again would mean losing everything. But still, she was awake now, because of him. Later that day, Jake snuck into the old archive room. Dusty files, forgotten video logs, locked drawers. He searched through folders marked top clearance only, anything about subject 7. Finally, he found a report. Faded paper, handwritten notes. Subject 7 shows strong empathy, possibly telepathic. No aggressive behavior detected during capture. Still considered a threat, too unknown to trust. Jake frowned. Empathy? Telepathic? So, she could feel things? Even across glass? He found another note. Subject refused to speak. Communicates emotionally. Reacts strongly to children. Protective behavior observed. Jake sat back in his chair. This wasn't the alien monster they had told him about. This wasn't some weapon. This was a being who felt. Later that night, Jake returned to room 39. He knew the cameras were offline in that section, an old glitch no one ever fixed. The facility didn't care about the forgotten floor. When he stepped inside, the cold air wrapped around him like a warning. Alira was awake again. She floated inside the glass pod, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light. When she saw Jake, her lips moved into the faintest smile. No words, no sound, but it said everything. Jake raised his hand. She mirrored him just like last time, but this time, the glass was warm. He whispered, "Why are you here?" No answer. But suddenly memories flowed into his mind. Not his own. A little alien girl running through silver forests. Stars above. A peaceful city in the clouds. Laughter. A school. Her family. Then fire. Ships falling from the sky. Humans in armor. Screams. Jake stepped back, gasping. His heart raced. "You're showing me your past," he whispered. "But how?" Alira gently touched her chest, then pointed at him. Her voice finally reached his mind. Feeling, sharing, not speaking. Jake shivered. "You can feel me?" She nodded slowly. Jake looked down at his hands. He had never felt this kind of connection before, not with anyone. She didn't speak his language, but she understood his fear, his worry, his guilt, and somehow he understood her pain. He stepped closer. You were helping those children, weren't you?" Alira's eyes glistened. A single glowing tear floated inside the pod. Suddenly, a sharp voice echoed through the hallway outside. "Sector D check-in. Who's down there?" Jake froze. Footsteps. Radios crackling. He whispered fast, "I have to go. I'll come back. I swear." Alira stared at him. Her mind voice was soft. "You are not like the others." He ran. Back through dark halls. Past sleeping drones. Into the shadows. But in his chest, something had changed. He wasn't just curious anymore. He wasn't just an intern with questions. Now he was part of her story. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He sat at his desk, staring at the old video of Alira protecting the children. His hands trembled as he opened a blank file and began to type. "They lied to us. Subject 7 is not a threat. She is a survivor. She remembers warmth, but only through pain. I think she still wants to believe in us. And I don't want to let her down." As he typed, a quiet wind passed through his room, even though the windows were shut. Jake looked around. Then he heard her voice in his head, barely a whisper. I believe in you. The facility slept beneath 30 floors of concrete and steel. Above ground, the world moved on. People went to work, drank coffee, watched the sky. But far below, in the dark, cold halls of Level 9, two lives were quietly changing each other. Jake didn't belong here. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a scientist. He didn't wear a lab coat or carry a weapon. He just had questions. And she had answers no one else could give. That night, Jake returned to room 39. No alarm. No footsteps. Just the sound of his breath and the soft hum of machines. He stood in front of the pod. Alira was waiting. Her eyes opened the moment he arrived, as if she had known he was coming, as if she had felt him approaching. "Hi," he whispered. Her mouth didn't move, but Jake felt the greeting inside his head, like a whisper under his skin. "You came back." Jake stepped closer. The air around the pod wasn't as cold as before. He placed his hand gently on the glass. Alira did the same. Then something changed. For the first time, the glass vanished. Not physically. It was still there. But in his mind, in his body, he felt her touch. It was not cold. It was not strange. It was warm. Jake gasped. The room around him melted away. Suddenly he stood in a memory. Not his, Alira's world. A golden sky above a crystal lake. Alien birds singing. Alira, younger, laughing with two children. They played near glowing flowers. Her mother called from the trees. Then, black clouds. Metal ships falling like fire. Explosions. Screams. Jake flinched as Alira grabbed the children and ran. Soldiers chased them. Humans in armor. She shielded the children with her body. Then, the cryogun fired. Everything froze. Jake stumbled back out of the vision. Back into room 39. He dropped to his knees, breathing hard. "I saw it," he whispered. "I saw everything." Alira's voice entered his mind. Soft, trembling. "I was not your enemy." Jake stood slowly, shaking. "You're not," he said. "You never were." Suddenly, alarms flashed red on the pod screen. Unauthorized brain sync detected. Jake panicked. He tapped the controls. "No, no, no, stay calm. Don't wake the system." Too late. The cryo chamber hissed. The glass cover began to lift with a slow, deep sound. Steam spilled out like a ghost. Alira's body lowered gently onto the medical bed. She was awake. Fully. Jake stood frozen. This wasn't supposed to happen. If they found out, they'd kill her. Or him. Or both. Alira opened her eyes, now glowing brighter than ever. She looked weak. Her body trembled. But her mind, her presence was strong. Jake slowly stepped forward. "Can you walk?" She nodded. "Barely." Jake offered his hand. She looked at it for a long moment, as if remembering what a hand meant, what trust felt like. Then, slowly, she placed her hand in his. The first real touch. No glass, no visions, just skin on skin. And something bloomed in Jake's chest, like light breaking through fog. Her hand was warm, so warm, and for the first time in years, she felt human. But the moment didn't last. From the hallway, a robotic voice echoed. "Security breach in chamber 39. Response team en route." Jake's blood ran cold. "They're coming," he said. "We have to hide you. Now." But Alira didn't panic. Instead, she touched her own chest, then his forehead. A single word passed through his mind. "Together." Jake nodded. He didn't know what would happen next. He only knew one thing. She trusted him. And he wasn't going to lose her. Not again. The hallway lights turned red. Sirens wailed like distant wolves, cold and mechanical. Security bots rolled through the corridors above, scanning for threats. But deep below, in the forgotten room 39, two figures stood frozen, one human, one not, and both completely out of time. Jake had never planned to break the law. But then again, he had never planned to meet her. Alira's breath was shaky. Her legs trembled beneath her, unused for so many years. But her hand was still in his, and she didn't let go. Jake's mind raced. He checked the security camera outside the room. 2 guards coming. 40 seconds away. He turned to Alira. Can you walk? She nodded slowly. Yes, I think. We need to get you out. Now. They moved fast. Jake had memorized the back corridors. Cleaning ducts, maintenance tunnels, paths no one used anymore. He guided her through shadows and silence, each footstep echoing louder than a scream. Alira winced as they turned a sharp corner. Her body was weak, but her senses were sharp. They're tracking heat, she whispered. And sound. Jake froze. Then we need to move smarter. She touched his chest, just briefly, a signal of calm. Then, without warning, she raised her hand and pressed it to the air. A strange shimmer spread out like water. The air bent. Suddenly, they weren't there anymore, not to the cameras, not to the sensors. What did you do? Jake whispered. Light, she said. I bent it. Just for a short time. Can you do it again? Only once more. Then I'll be too weak. They reached a small door labeled Storage Unit B7. Jake swiped his badge. The door clicked open. Inside, shelves, boxes, old equipment, and a hidden passage behind the crates. A tunnel he had discovered by accident 2 weeks ago. He never thought he'd be using it to escape with an alien. As they crawled through the narrow tunnel, Jake noticed something. Alira's skin was glowing faintly, not bright, but enough to cast shadows on the metal walls. You're getting stronger, he said quietly. No, she said. Just closer to truth. Jake didn't understand, but he didn't ask. Not yet. They finally emerged in the drone repair bay, an open space filled with broken machines and dusty floors. No cameras here, no eyes. For now. Alira leaned against the wall, exhausted. Jake looked around. There's a supply exit behind that panel. It leads to the surface. Alira didn't answer. Instead, she looked at him, deeply, as if reading his very soul. You're not afraid anymore, she said softly. Jake nodded. I was, but I think fear is what they use to control us. I don't want to be controlled. She smiled, not wide, not bright, just enough to say, I understand. Suddenly, metal clanked above them. A vent cover crashed to the floor. A security drone dropped in. Red eyes. Gun arm. Unauthorized presence detected. Surrender or be neutralized. Jake stepped in front of Alira, arms raised. No, she's not a threat. The drone didn't care. His gun whirred to life. Alira whispered, Close your eyes. Jake obeyed. Flash. A soft boom, not loud, but heavy, like the air itself had collapsed for a moment. When Jake opened his eyes, the drone was on the floor, dead. Floating in the air between them was a shimmering light shield, humming gently, like a heartbeat. Alira collapsed to her knees. That was my last energy, she said. I cannot protect again. Jake ran to her side, holding her up. You won't have to, he whispered. I will. They reached the exit panel. Jake pried it open. Cold night wind brushed his face. The surface was just beyond. But then, the worst sound of all. Footsteps. Boots. Soldiers. Jake peered through the grate. Dozens of them. Guns ready. Waiting. How did they know? He whispered. Alira closed her eyes. They never stopped watching me. Jake looked back into the tunnel, then at Alira. He didn't know how they would escape now. But he did know this. He wasn't going to leave her. And this time he would fight. Rain hit the ground like falling nails. Thunder rolled across the sky above the hidden exit. Below it, in the shadow of a supply vent, Jake and Alira stood frozen. On the other side of the grate, human soldiers waited. Guns ready. Ice cold. Jake's heart pounded like a war drum. He had no plan. No backup. Just a dying alien girl beside him. And the fire in his chest that said, Don't run. Alira leaned against the wall, weak. Her glow had faded. Her powers were gone. They will shoot us, she said softly. Just like before. Jake looked at her, eyes burning. Not this time. She smiled, tired. You believe in me too much. No, he said. I believe in what you still could be. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small black cube, a data drive. He had taken it from the lab hours ago. Inside it, video files, reports, documents, the truth. Proof she had protected humans. Proof the government lied. If they couldn't escape, maybe the truth still could. Jake handed it to her. If I don't make it, you send this out. You tell the world. She blinked. I won't leave without you. He gave a sad smile. Then let's not die. Jake took a deep breath, then slammed his elbow into the grate. Bang! The soldiers spun around. The vent burst open. Smoke grenades rolled out. The guards opened fire blindly. But Jake and Alira were already running. Through fog and rain, through chaos and shouting. Bullets flew past. Jake held her close, ducking behind supply crates. Sparks flew. One bullet grazed his arm. He screamed but didn't stop. Alira pulled him down behind a truck. You're hurt. I'm fine, he gasped. Keep moving. A voice boomed from a megaphone. Subject 7, surrender now. You are not safe out here. We will return you to containment. Alira stood slowly. No, she said. Her voice echoed, not loud, but deep, strong, real. She stepped into the open. Gunlights aimed at her. Jake shouted, What are you doing? She raised her hands, not to fight but to speak. To all of them, images filled the air, flickering like memories. Her people, her home, children laughing, humans smiling beside aliens. Peace, what it could have been. And then the war, the betrayal, the moment she was shot while holding a child. Every soldier saw it, not through a screen but inside their minds. A whisper followed, I was never your enemy. Some soldiers lowered their guns, but one did not. A high-ranking officer, Commander Reese, jaw clenched, finger tight on the trigger. She's manipulating you, he yelled. It's all lies. Jake stepped forward. No, we've been lied to for 10 years. She's not a weapon. You are. Commander Reese aimed at Alira. Alira didn't move. Jake ran, fast, and slammed into the commander just as the trigger pulled. Bang! The bullet missed her heart, hit her side. She collapsed. Jake caught her, screaming, "No!" Reese raised his gun again, but before he could fire, another soldier tackled him to the ground. Stand down, someone yelled. She's not attacking. In the chaos, someone shouted into a radio. We need medics. And sir, she's healing. Jake looked down. Alira's hand was glowing again, pressed against her wound. The bleeding stopped. Slowly her eyes opened. You're not leaving me? She asked. He shook his head, tears in his eyes. Never. The rain kept falling, but something in the air had changed. For the first time, the soldiers didn't point their guns. They listened. They saw. They remembered. The chains weren't metal. They were fear. And now they were breaking. The rain had stopped. Dawn cracked the sky open like a slow heartbeat, washing the gray world in soft gold. The facility behind them stood still. Broken gates, burned walls, and soldiers who no longer knew who the enemy was. Jake sat in the grass, his arm bandaged, watching the sun rise for the first time in weeks. Next to him, Alira stood barefoot on Earth's soil. Her blue skin glowed in the morning light. She blinked slowly, breathing in the air. It was heavy, but free. I've never seen your son, she said softly. It feels honest. Jake smiled through tired eyes. It's been waiting for you. Suddenly, a hum echoed in the trees. A sleek black ship, half buried in the forest, rose from the earth like a secret being uncovered. Its engines were quiet, not military, not hostile. It was a rebel ship. The door opened, and a tall woman in a gray coat stepped out. She had sharp eyes and a calm voice. You must be Jake, and you are the reason the world is about to change. Alira tilted her head. Who are you? The woman smiled. My name is Dr. Lyra Chen. I used to build weapons for the government. Then I found out who they were using them against. She tossed a small device onto the ground, projected an image in the air, Alira's cryochamber. Her arrest, the order to erase her identity. Then Jake's file. a record of his unauthorized access. The moment he chose truth over safety. You exposed them, Lyra said. And now, people are listening. Behind her, 2 more rebels stepped out, 1 human, 1 alien. Side by side, no chains, no orders, just purpose. Jake looked at Lyra. They believe us? Lyra nodded. Not all, but enough. Lyra whispered, Is it safe? Lyra's smile faded. No, but it's real. And we need you. Lyra stepped forward, slow but steady. I have seen enough lies. I want to speak. Later that day, a hidden broadcast station somewhere in the mountains. Jake helped Lyra onto a small platform. Cameras surrounded her. No government filters. No fake headlines. Just her voice. The screen blinked red. Live. She spoke. Slowly. Clearly. Her accent soft. Her words full of weight. I was taken from my world during war. I was frozen. Forgotten. Feared. But I was never your enemy. I protected your children. I held your wounded. I forgave your guns. Not because I was weak, but because I believed someone would listen. Across cities, phones lit up. Screens buzzed. People paused mid-sentence. In a cafe, a soldier dropped his coffee, staring. In a prison cell, another alien prisoner cried. On the streets, someone whispered, She's real. And across the stars, a distant satellite blinked awake. Back at the station, Lyra turned to Jake after the broadcast ended. What now? She asked. Jake looked out the window. The world will react. Some will be afraid. Some will be angry. But some will understand. Suddenly, a message beeped on Lyra's console. A transmission. Not human. Not local. An alien voice. Calm. Ancient. Speaking in a deep language. Lyra translated, eyes wide. We received the signal. We heard her words. We are coming. Do not let them hurt her again. Jake stood slowly. Lyra looked at him, confused. Who are they? He swallowed hard. Your people. The sky was no longer silent. 3 moons had appeared over Earth's atmosphere. Not from myth, not from magic, but from ships. Massive. Silent. Silver like memory. Floating above cities. Watching. Waiting. The world held its breath. Some called it invasion. Others called it judgment. But Lyra called it home. She stood on a rooftop in the rebel city, wind lifting her white hair, her silver eyes reflecting the light of the stars. Jake stood beside her, bandaged, tired, alive. They're here, he said softly. Lyra nodded. I can feel them, like a song I forgot. Playing again. All across the globe, news channels screamed. Governments panicked. Military units armed missiles. And yet, the ships did not attack. They waited for one thing. Her. Lyra stepped onto the edge of the roof. She raised her hand to the sky. Her voice, quiet, was broadcast again. I am Lyra of the fated line. I speak not for revenge, but for peace. I found one human who saw me, and that was enough to believe in the rest. Silence. Then, a reply. From the sky. A single beam of light fell from the central ship, not to destroy, but to reach, to connect. A voice echoed across Earth's frequency. In every language, in every heart. We see her, we see him, and through them, we will see you. The beam lowered, soft like moonlight. It touched the rooftop gently, wrapping Lyra in golden glow. She turned to Jake. Her eyes were wet. I was cold for so long, she whispered. I forgot what warmth felt like. He reached for her hand. She took it, not with power, not with fear, but with something older than war and stronger than pain. Trust. Jake's voice cracked. You changed everything. No, she said. We changed together. And then, she stepped into the light. But she did not go alone. Jake went with her. 2 souls, once strangers, now symbols. Years later, a classroom. Children, human and alien, sit in a circle. A teacher opens a book. The cover shows 2 figures holding hands beneath a sky full of stars. She reads aloud. Once no one touched her for years. She forgot what warmth felt like. Until one human reminded her. A small child raises a hand. Is it a true story? The teacher smiles. Every word.